our team, our community. This is Condors Town, and this is another Energy Condors connection. Now, here's Erik Fox and Ryan Holt.
Go now in B-Town. It's Erik Fox here from Energy 95.3 on the north side of town. On the central side of town, close to where you wonder how long it's going to take for a train to move again, is our Ryan Holt from Bakersfield Condors out there on Truxton. How you doing, my friend?
Smack dab in the middle. I'm smack dab in the middle.
There you go.
And, yeah, how are you?
Doing well. You know, we're not smack dab in the middle of the season. We're heading towards the tail end of the season, so we're going to talk about so many things, as we always do here, right here with your Condors Connection. You can always chime in with your questions or comments right there on, if you're following us on Facebook, YouTube, or even Twitch. We're on Twitch right now. So, yeah, any of those platforms, feel free to chime in, and we'll chat about you, or we'll ignore you. We'll do one of the two things. We'll figure it out. Let's start with our Oilers talk, as we always do. You know, we had the Battle of Alberta, as they call it, up there. Kind of a tough one, but you know what? They're still holding strong up there, huh?
Yeah. What was it, 15 combined goals in the game on Saturday? I don't think that was a recipe for success, but, you know, you have those games over the course of a season, and good bounce back last night for Edmonton. They beat Arizona pretty handily, a game they controlled throughout, and ended up winning 6-1. So, you know, they're right in the thick of things. They're, you know, probably on the you know, if you gave them probabilities, they're probably, you know, 3/4 to an 80% chance of making the postseason right now, which is, you know, pretty good odds considering, you know, some of the teams that they're around. But, you know, they got to finish strong and have a good couple last weeks. And the good news for them is a lot of it comes on home ice. They've won, you know, 7 in a row up there in Edmonton. So they get a lot of home cooking here over the last couple of weeks. And I expect them to make the playoffs, and you know, they expect to make the playoffs, and we'll see, you know, how well they're playing going into the postseason.
Well, let's talk about that wild card race. You know, LA was kind of the thing that came out of nowhere. They're kind of slowing down a little bit. Yeah. Obviously, Calgary is on fire with Sutter behind the bench, which has just been an interesting thing to watch this year. And Edmonton, you know, they're third in the Pacific right now, and not really anyone biting at their heels as much as it seems like they used to be, right?
Yeah, Vancouver and Vegas are kind of there right now, and Dallas is in the mix on the wild card side of things. You know, Nashville's kind of in that mix too. They've separated a little bit as well, but you know, Dallas has the upper hand. They have games in hand, and they have a favorable schedule down the stretch. Vancouver's kind of fallen off a little bit. Vegas is, you know, they're Vegas. They're kind of hanging around, but they've you know, they've had just some horrific past couple of weeks here in terms of injuries and their play on the ice. And they recently had a
and knowing who to trade.
Exactly, you know, and you know, they are caught up in that, and you know, maybe that set them back a little bit too. But it's you know, they're still Vegas, so you know, maybe they find a way. But for me, that's the team that, you know, I think if you look at biggest disappointments this year, I think you got to kind of throw Vegas in the mix. And you know, that being said, their first season, they were probably the biggest surprise. So I think the Vegas fan base has been spoiled a little bit, you know, for the first 3-4 years of their existence, you know, thinking that, this is easy. We'll just roll through a pandemic and we'll knock out Colorado, and this is easy. And it's not easy. You know, injuries started to mount up, and now they're, you know, up against it with the salary cap and trying to navigate that. And
what's that they say? What goes up always must go down, but they've always been up, so now they're finally dealing with their down now.
It's to keep momentum and to keep, you know, the good times rolling. It almost feels like a wave, and it just gets. But when you lose it and you try and get back in, and you're scratching and clawing, and you're like, well, I got to make this move, and I got to do this. It's hard to get back up to the mountaintop. And you know, they were there the first year, essentially, you know, getting to the Stanley Cup final. And, you know, it's been difficult for them to get back there. You know, it's been difficult to make the postseason, which a lot of teams find out over the course of their existence.
Well, let's go and jump to the local end. Obviously, talking about climbing that mountain, that's definitely what the Condors seem to be doing right now. Since we talked last, the win versus Colorado, and then a split with Grand Rapids as they came to town. What did you see in the last week, and what are you feeling with the team, Ken, into the final month of the season?
Yeah, that's a good week for the Condors to get 5 of possible 6 points. Probably deserved a better fate on Saturday. Led, you know, basically the entire game. Gave up a goal in the final 20 seconds on a power play. ended up losing in overtime after Seth Griffith had a breakaway to end it. So it's a point out there kind of lost, I guess, if you will. But this time of year, any point's a valuable point. So to get 5 and possible 6 points, that was a desperate Grand Rapids team. They're just trying to get themselves in the playoffs. The Condors this week probably clinch a playoff berth. Just a matter of when, not if. Likely happens this week. They need maybe 2 wins out of 3 and a loss somewhere from Tucson to get themselves in the playoffs. So that'll be a cool week up ahead. But yeah, the team's playing well offensively. They're rolling, and we're going to finish out the homestand strong here this week.
Let's talk about what's coming up. Obviously, we have a team in which we've seen quite a bit last season during the pandemic season. It seemed like every other game was against Henderson, but you got 3 in a row against Henderson, 2 at home and 1 heading out to the Dollar Loan Center. I didn't know that was the name until I just saw it right now. So
that's a brand new arena. We're actually we're opening it on Saturday. It's the first ever pro hockey game in the building, so we'll be part of history. We were looking forward to it, and they'll play the remainder of their games this year and also into next year, obviously, in Henderson. So we'll go to Vegas, but it's actually in Henderson for the game. So Wednesday, Friday at home should be fun, and then open up a new building, and anytime you get to be in a new building, it's kind of cool, and be the first ones to play a game there is pretty cool.
Is that a little weird because, the team obviously knows where Henderson was playing before and kind of got the feel of that, got a building where you really have no history of knowing, how the boards are, how the ice really is, all that stuff. Is that anything to prepare for?
Yeah, no, I think that's definitely a valid point. We get there, late Friday or early Saturday morning, basically, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We won't even get to the building until the afternoon, 4 or 5 o'clock at night. So for the team, it's going to be drop a puck and play a game. There's not going to be any morning skate. The guys are going to sleep in, get their rest, get a brunch in you, and then get back to sleep, and then get it over to the rink. So it'll be a new feel. It'll be exciting though. We're the first road team to go in there and want to make history and want to win a game there. And the cool part was, I think Cal State Bakersfield was the first basketball game in there, and they both won, their first games in that building too. So we'll try and keep the Bakersfield vibes going in Henderson.
B-Town getting the W's. That's what we do out there. Let's talk about, of course, the 2 games coming up. They're Wednesday, tomorrow night, and Friday night. Henderson in town. Henderson is still one of the teams where you still got to battle as you head into the final month here. How are they preparing? Because I know they've seen them a lot, but how do they keep that momentum going with them?
Yeah, 3 games against Henderson this week, and it's kind of like a Grand Rapids. I think Henderson right now is just desperate to find any sort of momentum. I think they've lost 12 to 14 games. They've really struggled here in March, and a lot of that is due to the fact that their parent club has struggled and has had injuries, and the same can be said about Henderson. When your parent club has 8-9 injuries and you're without your top 3 goaltenders and you're calling guys up from 2 rungs down, it's it's difficult. It's difficult to win hockey games. And Henderson got swept by Tucson this past weekend. They got swept by San Diego the past weekend before. So you look at it on paper and you think, well, these are 2 teams going in opposite directions, but they don't play games on paper, as we found out throughout the course of our existence. And you have to go out and you have to match their energy level and their compete level. And are they a little banged up, and do they have as much offensive firepower as we've seen in the past? No, they don't. But any given night, they can beat you. So this is a week though that the Condors face Henderson. Colorado faces Stockton and Ontario on the road. Abbotsford has Toronto and Laval, 2 tough teams from the Eastern Conference coming into town this week. So, if you're the Condors, you have the easiest strength of schedule down the stretch. You got to put it to your advantage. Make sure you lock up home ice. Make sure you do all you can to try and get that 3rd spot too. I think is very much attainable here over the final, month of the season.
Of course, we want to root them on as they head that final month of the season and get that home ice advantage. People want to check out the game tomorrow or Friday. How do they do it?
Yeah, the hat trick pack's on sale. It gets you 4 tickets, a Condors hat, and a beach towel. It's just $95, and you don't have to use all 4 seats for one game. You can use 2 for one and 2 for another. It's going to save you big time money off the box office and off the online fees. And of course, Friday night's the first game where we've got no COVID restrictions, no mandates, no show your phone, no show a card, no show your vaccination, no nothing. Show up, enjoy $2 beers, and we're looking forward to having everyone out Friday night, Wednesday night as well too. But Friday's the first, no restriction game, if you will, and should be a fun atmosphere and should be a fun one against Henderson.
Looking forward to it. Once again, Ryan Holt from your Bakersfield Condors is on the right side of your screen. My name is Erik Fox from Energy 95.3. We do this every week right here as we get you caught up on everything going on with your Bakersfield Condors. Ryan, I appreciate the time as always.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
We'll see you next time right here with another Energy 95.3 Condors Connection. Later.